Hello everyone, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back, and today I'm going to be giving my official winter 2024 to 2025 snowfall forecast, basically giving you guys an idea of how much snow you could see, whether it'll be more or less than what we usually get. So of course, stick around for the whole video if you do want to see what the snowfall forecast could look like for your region. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell notifications. Alright, so let's hop right into it here. And basically just going to go over briefly, I know if you watched my other videos in the past recently about, this winter, basically just going to go over real quick what a typical La Niña winter looks like. So we have a jet stream that normally comes down over the northern tier, kind of dips over the Ohio Valley, right? So a storm track, it's going to be kind of going like this. So wetter conditions over the Ohio Valley in the northwest, while the southwest and southeast are typically a little bit drier. We have usually a blocking high pressure as well over near the Gulf of Alaska, which helps because of its clockwise flow. It helps push that jet stream up and over it, and then what goes up must come down. So if it goes up over Alaska here, you can see it comes down over the Midwest. If we take a look here at the annual mean total snowfall, so basically how much snow do we normally see over a given winter every year? Alright, so kind of just breaking it down here. So of course, along the Gulf Coast, the southwest, we typically get nothing, of course. Parts of the southeast, we normally see anywhere up to 3 inches of snow normally in any given year. Take a look at the Tennessee Valley here, of course, like central North Carolina, right? Usually about 3 to 6 and even 6 to 12 inches kind of lined up in this zone here. That's kind of our next layer. If we go north, usually about a foot, 1 to 2 feet over the northern mid-Atlantic states. So Philly, DC, right? St. Louis, Missouri. Above that layer, we have the 2 to 3 foot zone, which of course goes from places like, Chicago, Indianapolis, right? Just this area to the north here, Des Moines, Iowa, right? Parts of Nebraska as well. And then we go all the way up there to the north. You can see 3 to 4 feet, Minneapolis, Green Bay, Detroit. And then we have 4 to 6 feet even in parts of New England, and in the mountains of New England. In northern New England, we usually can get as much as over 6 feet of snow in a given year. And if we take a look here at the precipitation anomalies, so basically in a given, with the weak La Niña winter that we have potentially coming up, basically going to be showing you guys what precipitation could typically look like. The East Coast and the Southeast, especially in these weak La Niña winters that I have going back to the 50s, we have typically seen, and of course it's best with weather to look at history, we have typically seen drier conditions when it comes to La Niña winters. That also goes for the South Central, and even in California, the Southwest as well. For places, for example, like the Rocky Mountains, the northern Great Lakes, these are areas that have seen slightly above average precipitation, typically in weak La Niña winters in the past. So of course, again, when we look at weather, certainly nice to look back at history. It gives us a good idea of what we could see, and I think the composite maps do a good job of showing that. All right, what about temperature? Well, temperature, climatologically, again, same set of winters you can see at the top of your screen. Typically speaking, the north central is the most concentrated area where we've seen the furthest temperature departures below average. Goes from Wisconsin over to Washington State. We've really seen those colder temperatures, and I think that could certainly be in the forecast for this winter. And if you want to see that, I have also released my first winter forecast. I hope to update on that soon, but I have released that if you guys want to watch after this video, if you want to get a more detailed analysis on what the temperature and precip could look like. But if we look at the southeast, Louisiana over to the Carolinas, this is where we've typically seen above average temperatures, because again, the jet stream typically comes in a pattern like so, and because the south is kind of south of that jet stream, your temperatures will be warmer. Surprisingly, across the southwest actually, because typically in some La Niñas they can be warm, actually slightly below average temperatures. Keep in mind, these greens only mean a half a degree Fahrenheit below average, but that's still, it's not exactly insignificant either. So the Southwest historically has actually gotten a little bit cooler with La Niñas. And again, it's not just El Nino, La Niña. There are other factors, of course, that go into temperature and precip forecasting in any given season. But of course, El Nino and La Niña are 2 of the big factors that really give us an idea. Just to go over my winter forecast real quick, and then towards the end of the video, shortly here, we'll be taking a look at our snowfall forecast based off a few more maps. So if we take a look at the temperature forecast for the winter, of course, temperature can influence snow, because if the temperatures are not cold enough, we cannot get snow. So again, typically speaking, and for this winter as well, the northern tier could be below average. I think there's a good chance of seeing below average temperatures in the northern tier, especially around the Dakotas, Minneapolis, Montana as well. But that even extends into the northwest U.S., the Rockies, as well as even to the east, places like Des Moines, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, all places we can see some cooler temperatures, maybe in turn more snow as well, as long as we can get that consistent storm track. For the southeast, mid-Atlantic, southeast, south central, all the way to the southwest, I think we can see warmer temperatures here. I think the chance of that will be increased even as we get closer to the coast. So snowfall chances aren't already that great, especially in the deep south. And I think these warmer temperatures due to La Niña, I don't think are going to be helping too much here. If we take a look at the precipitation forecast, so again, temperature is one that can influence it, as well as precipitation. Well, above average precipitation is in the forecast here as of right now for the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, an area that typically does get it during La Niña winters. And we also see in the northwestern United States where we can see some slightly above average and even some above average, in that darker green as well, precipitation for the winter of 24 to 25. And again, that could potentially mean more snow. But again, for the deep south, the Carolinas, down towards, Georgia, Alabama, clear west to LA, we do have the chance to see below average precipitation, which again, because of that storm track with the jet stream going like this, storm track is going to be coming down like this. The storms are going to kind of avoid the southeast and pretty much affect the areas, kind of near that jet stream. So if that doesn't really get near the south, then we're not going to be seeing too much precipitation, because typically in El Nino, we'll see the jet stream dip a little bit further down, and we'll also have a subtropical jet, and when those two collide, we can get some really big storms to kind of form in this area. But sadly, this is not an El Nino, this is the opposite, what we call a La Nina winter, so the chances of that will be very low for this winter. Alright, before I get to my snowfall forecast coming up soon here, I wanted to take a look at, there were some interesting maps from NOAA here that basically show snowfall during La Nina winters. So basically, how much snow, when we've had La Nina winters, again, this, if you look at the bottom left, I believe this dates back to 59. They've made their own maps here based on climatological averages from 1991 to 2020. Basically, has our snowfall been above average or below average, and by how much? So if we take a look at that here, right, you can see the Northwest, especially in the Cascade, really emphasized here that we typically get a lot more snow in those areas during La Nina winters. Also, across the northern central, again, anywhere from the Dakotas over towards Minneapolis, Wisconsin, Michigan here, and also over towards New England, Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York, parts of Vermont as well. These areas in the blue, meaning we see above normal snowfall typically during La Nina winters. Meanwhile, and it's funny because in the interior Northeast, we can see more snow, but if we look at the coastal Northeast, like coastal Maine, New England, down to the mid-Atlantic, we actually see less snowfall during La Nina winters. And also, of course, for the south, kind of like the mid-south, the Tennessee Valley, parts of the southern Ohio Valley, Dixie Alley during tornado season, all these areas in here typically see slightly less snowfall during La Nina winters, and it's really exacerbated here across the southwest, right? Parts of the southern Rockies, we really can see some below average snowfall during La Nina winters. Now, this is the same map, except this time, if you look at the top of your screen, we're just focusing on weak La Nina winters. And I added this map in because I do believe the La Nina we're going to see this year will be on the weaker side. All right, and also do know that this is for months January through March. So typically speaking, on a weak La Nina winter, right, we do see, again, kind of similar things. The Northwest, we could see more snow, and we really see some bigger snow totals across, like, Minnesota and the Dakotas during weak La Nina winters in particular. But the thing that changes is that actually the coastal Northeast, because remember before it was less snowfall, but the coastal Northeast from Bangor to Boston actually can see a really big surplus of snow during specifically weak La Nina winters. Again, this is climatologically going back to the 50s, but that doesn't mean it's set in stone. But it still gives you a good idea that maybe when La Nina winters are weaker, that, the coastal Northeast could actually still see a lot of snow. At least there's still a chance for it. One area we do see still that below average snowfall is over the mid-Atlantic states, and of course into the mid-south and even the deep south as well, and still across the parts of the southern Rockies. The northern Rockies, though, you guys are still rocking and rolling in terms of snowfall. You can still see a lot, at least climatologically, during weak La Nina winters. As we wrap up the video here, we're going to take a look at the snowfall forecast, the official snowfall forecast here. So basically, from the Northwest down to the Rockies, I do believe we're going to see above average snowfall this year. Again, because of all the factors we talked about earlier. Again, due to what we typically see with La Nina, the forecast for this winter, all the different things lining up, I do believe across the northern central as well, even the Great Lakes, especially the northern Great Lakes and into the interior northeast, even extending it towards the coast, because again, I believe in a weak La Nina winter, we can see the coastal northeast getting the chance to see some more snowfall. So I do believe you'll see some more snowfall in the basically northern third of the country just about, and in the southern third, again, mid-Atlantic states, down to the southeast, across the south central, places like, southern Oklahoma, Texas, and off to the south and west, we could see below average snowfall. And you might be looking at, oh, well, the coast of Texas and Florida doesn't normally get snow anyway. Yes, that's true, but still below average, that still does mean your chances for snowfall will also be below average. So I did want to include those areas as well. So that is the snowfall forecast here for winter of 2024 to 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am the Weather Dude signing off till next time, and I will catch you guys in the next video.